Hi guys, my name is Mary, and the app that I will be designing out today for the designer challenge is called Pickit. So Pickit is a grocery trip coordination app for your neighborhood. I realized that in this day and age of COVID, there are a lot of people who don't feel safe in a grocery store, yet it has to be a very necessary part of our weeks. So I figured there was a way to coordinate a neighborhood's shopping trips so that those who aren't comfortable going into a grocery store can request items from those who are comfortable going into a grocery store. So Pickit has three parts to it. A user can request an item, and that might be a cup of sugar, and a neighbor has that, sees that they requested it, has it, and brings it over to their house. Or a neighbor might notice that request and be out grocery shopping and can pick it up for them along the way. And then a user can also notify their neighbors when they'll be going to a grocery store so that other neighbors around them can maybe put in requests and get those picked up for them as well. So it's a bit of a work in progress, but I think it's a nice idea during this time. I have noticed a need, especially around like my grandparents and feeling uncomfortable with them going to the grocery store, yet not being close enough to make that happen for them. So I started a little bit of branding. I don't know if you can see the little hidden gem, but this logo is a picket fence turned shopping bag. And then I started with a very small, brief kind of wireframe. This is all I have, but I've labeled out the different screens to kind of help orient myself around what features I'm going to try to design out today. There's a lot I could do, and I feel like I could go down a very steep rabbit hole. So hopefully this process helps me narrow down what I want to do and I don't get too distracted. But we will see. I'm very curious. Wish me luck. Hi. Okay, so first update in Pickit's progress. I'm going to just walk through what I have so far. I've mostly spent time trying to just get kind of a wireframe out of the basic functionality. And I've really only managed to tackle one task that I was wanting to get to. I was wanting to get to three. So far so good though. So Pickit, let's see, got a little splash screen. And this is kind of the home page with the upcoming trips. So you can schedule a trip, you can view past trips that you've taken to the grocery store, just in case you need to like settle a payment or look at activity. And you've got all these different options down here to make a request or view requests, and then edit your circle or chat with your neighbors. So these I really haven't worked out yet, but we're getting there. So you guys are getting a sneak peek because my wireframe isn't mapped out correctly. Okay, so a user will schedule, and maybe they want to go in an hour to the grocery store, and they'll schedule that so it'll notify their neighbors. I'm hoping to get to like some cute illustrations or something. We will see. So then here we've got a call out for our upcoming trips, and then you probably want to go check out requests and see if there are requests from your neighbors or if you wanted to start a request. And that's honestly, see, I just copied that. That's honestly all I've gotten to so far. So I have a lot to do. Obviously, there's a lot of little design tweaks I want to make, especially when it comes to color. I'm having a very hard time kind of organizing on color, but I'm having fun. So got a little profile. Yeah, it's kind of hectic right now, but I'm having a lot of fun, and it's cool to see like what you can accomplish in just a few hours. So hopefully the rest.
Hello, it is 2:30 and this is my fourth cup of coffee for the day. My brain is a little exhausted, as well as my body, but we're making good progress. So I will go ahead and share what I've got. I've got a pretty robust wireframe at this point. Almost all of my features that I was hoping to get to today are done. I also added in a little bit of an onboarding walkthrough. I used some illustrations from a free library to get things moving a bit faster. And after that, just have the rest of the app. Still a little bit hazy on colors and design and like very little details and stuff, but the majority of the work is kind of there for the actual structure. I would love to rethink some of this, but at this like speed, I just don't have time. So, we've got our trips that I just scheduled, a new trip. Then we have requests. You can see the requests from your neighbors and pop into each neighbor's request. Like Sue has 2 items that are going to approximately cost $8.60. Add those to your list and take those to your grocery store. And then when you're back on your trip, you can see in your upcoming trip card that there's one accepted request with 2 items. Your trip is going to be at 2:30 p.m. You can pop into that and see the items that you've added to your trip. And then as you're grocery shopping, mark those through as purchased. And then there's a couple last things you need to do, which is take a photo of that receipt, and Pickit will take care of the cost breakdown and then deliver the groceries. And you've got your address here, and this would ideally link out to like Apple Maps, and then head back to your trip. So now you have no more new trips. I also started working on a circle kind of page where you can add different people to your neighborhood. And then the chat is still fairly empty, but there's also some profile things. I've got a lot more to do. This app could be huge. So far, this is where we're at. But I'm having a lot of fun. It's just kind of exhausting, and I wish I had more time. And I definitely want to pick this up again after today, because I think this could be a really fun project to invest more time in. So it's going well. I'll be hopefully ready for demos in an hour. Okay, so today I worked on an app called Pickit, and Pickit is a concept for a um, grocery shopping trip coordination app for your neighborhood. I realize that especially during COVID-19, there's a lot of people who aren't comfortable going grocery shopping or can't make it to grocery stores, but yet it's a very necessary part of our week. And there are people who are comfortable going to grocery stores. So how can we coordinate those shopping trips with other people's needs in the same area and cut down on the total number of shopping trips that happen from one community, and also make grocery trips a lot safer for people. So it's definitely a work in progress, and it's a very difficult concept, and there's so many things I could have done with this. So I definitely found myself going into like these crazy rabbit holes of exploration. And it was a bit of work to reel myself back in and try to get the core functionality in there. But this was some branding that I started working on earlier in the week and had it ready to go today. So did a little logo that is a picket fence turned shopping bag type logo, playing on that word, and then a bit of icon exploration and some color craziness. So that's pretty much all I had. I did a few like wireframe sketches and really tried to nail down exactly what features I wanted to work on today. But I did a lot. It was a crazy day. So let me make sure that this is the right size. Okay. Can you all see that full iPhone? Perfect. Cool. So I'll just hop into Pickit. So I made a little splash screen. This is kind of a difficult concept. So even though it's not the most important part of the app, I did want to invest a little bit of time into a kind of educational walkthrough before the user either signs in or signs up for the app. Maybe this is the first time they've entered and they already have an account on another device or something. I did not do these illustrations. I stole them from a very free illustration library, so don't worry. But it was nice to kind of keep moving faster and have a little something. I think that would be something I would add later on down the road, is some custom illustrations. But I just wanted to be able to allow users to kind of drag through this initial kind of walkthrough, explaining how this is going to work, because it is a little bit complicated. So once they finish that, they can skip the tour, sign in, whatever, and it takes them to their trip page. So this is where they will keep track of all upcoming grocery trips. It helps to know when a neighbor is going to be going on a grocery trip, so that you'll get notified and say, oh, I actually need something. They're leaving in an hour. I'll just like put in a request for a can of beans or something super random. And that neighbor who's heading to the grocery store will get that request delivered to them. So I did that trip page. We'll come back to that in a second. There is the request page where neighbors can make those requests. And then there is a page for My Circle, which is your neighborhood basically. It's small right now, but they would, be able to add neighbors and find their address as well as chat with them. And then I didn't get to actually designing the chat page, but I think that there needs to be a little bit of social engagement on this app because maybe you're at the grocery store and you realize that they don't have the right kind of milk or something. So you might chat with your neighbor and see if 2% is okay. So back to the trips. The first thing I wanted a user to be able to do is schedule a trip. So they need to notify their neighbors when they're planning on heading to the grocery store. And maybe that's something that's a today thing, maybe it's tomorrow. And then there's a few options for like a quick selection of approximately what time you'll be heading, and then you can do a custom time. We're just gonna leave in an hour and schedule that trip. So hooray, you have scheduled a trip and your neighbors will be notified. And so when you head back to your trips, there's this kind of card to represent this upcoming trip. And you can see that you've got the date and time, and then there are 0 accepted requests from other neighbors, and there are no items in your list for that trip. But down here in the left, you can see there's a little notification for the requests. So we've got some neighbors' requests that are matching our timing for our grocery trip. So we'll pop back over here and you can see there's 3 new requests from your neighbors, different amounts of items, different timing from when they made that request. And you can also start your own request if you are in need of something, but we'll talk about that later. So we'll check out Sue's request. She needs some yogurt and peanut butter. And there's a little bit of metadata around how much that approximately could cost. The whole financial aspect of this app, I would love to spend more time kind of thinking through because I know there's some way to maybe incentivize use because this is kind of altruistic and very community oriented. And so if it's free, if the user who's running all these grocery trips for people isn't maybe getting compensated, I'm not sure that users would be as apt to sign up and be that person who's constantly delivering groceries to their neighbors. So I want to think a bit about that, but there's the ability to chat with Sue if something's wrong, but we're just going to go ahead and add all of her items to our shopping trip. So when you go back to your trips, you can see there's a little notification here. You have accepted a request and there's 2 items in your shopping trip. So you'll open that up and you can see the 2 shopping items in your list. And as you're shopping, or maybe you're finished shopping, you can check them off and mark those 2 items as purchased. So Sue will get notified that you've purchased her items, and there's only a couple things you have to do. I think it would be important to take a photo of that receipt and let Pickit handle that in some way. I'm not sure yet. And then there would be a link to the address for your neighbor, so you can just go ahead and deliver those groceries to her. And then you'll head back to your trip. You can see your upcoming trip is now in your latest trip and you don't have anything coming up. But maybe there's another opportunity where you realize you need something and you can't make it to the grocery store right now. And this might be a necessary item. Another aspect of this app that I want to mention is this doesn't have to be a grocery shopping trip. It could be like, I need a cup of sugar for my cake, and maybe my next door neighbor can just give me a cup of sugar. I think in this digital age, it's nice to have a tool to kind of communicate in this way that people were really, really used to communicating by just like knocking on their neighbor's door. People are way less comfortable with that. So I think that also could be a use case for this app. But we're just going to start a request. We're in desperate need of coffee filters. So we're going to search for that coffee filter. This is not fleshed out yet. I know there's a lot more I could do for the request, kind of creating a request feature, but we're just gonna make that request. That was easy. There's way more that needs to happen in that, but you can see it's not been claimed by anyone, and there's 1 item, and here's maybe when you need it by, or maybe when you put it in. So that is the gist of Pickit. I felt like I did a lot of screens and there's not as much like design visual kind of clarity throughout the application. I wish I could have spent more time on like color unification and maybe more branding um, and even the animations and the transitions between pages. But I was glad that I got to spend a lot of time on the user experience and the actual flow and the architecture and try to make it as easy to understand. There's definitely a lot of holes in this app idea, but it's something I want to spend more time on because I had fun. I had a lot of fun with this. So that is Pickit.